Christmas Eve in L.A.
California.
Is Daddy coming home soon?
Well, we'll see what Santa and Mommy can do, okay?
A New York cop, John McClane, has come to see his wife.
I missed you.
Instead, he's going to have to save her.
Sit down.
Within this skyscraper high above the city, 12 terrorists have declared war.
They're about to be taught a lesson in the real use of power.
They're as brilliant
Because I am interested in the $640 million in your vault.
as they are ruthless.
And I'm telling you, you're just going to have to kill me. Okay. We do it the hard way.
Now, the last thing McClane wants
Think, damn it, think.
is to be a hero.
Where's Holly? Hey, Tucker! Where?
But he doesn't have a choice.
What does he think he's doing?
John.
They have already killed one hostage.
This channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
Lady, do I sound like I'm one of the pieces?
He's inside? Who is he? Who are you then? You are most troublesome for a security guard.
Sorry, wrong guess, huh? Would you like to go for double jeopardy?
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, mother...
You just destroyed a building. I am in charge of this situation.
Well, I got some bad news for you. From up here, that look like you're in charge of Jack.
He is alone, he is tired, and he hasn't seen Dipping Squat from anybody down here.
Hey, pal, how you feeling?
All things being equal, I'd rather be in Philadelphia.
And you have it.
Only John can drive somebody that crazy.
He's an easy guy to like
Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
and a hard man to kill. Bruce Willis, Die Hard.
Got invited to the Christmas party by mistake. Who knew?
Hello and welcome to episode 31 of the Film Reel Cast. We're back again and it's the countdown for Christmas. The usual guys are here. Say hello everyone.
Hello everyone.
Hello.
We are missing James today, unfortunately.
We are indeed, and he's still in hospital having his operation to be another woman, I think. Is that right?
I think that's right. Yeah, it's taking a little bit longer than they expected to kind of fix the right parts in the right places. But I'm sure he'll be back with us.
We'll be joined by Janine next week.
We welcome diversity.
We embrace everything.
We do embrace it.
Because we all have no standards. This week, on our countdown to Christmas, we're kicking off with an absolute cracker. It's John McTiernan's action thriller, 1988, Die Hard. And the reason why we're doing this, and we're counting this as Christmas, is because it happens around a Christmas party, around Christmas time.
It does, yeah.
So we've cunningly linked this into Christmas. So who saw... Actually, bearing in mind the ages, the mixed ages we are, it's 1988. Did anyone see this at the cinema?
No, I didn't see it at the cinema, but I think I probably watched it soon as it was released on VHS at one of the local video shops or something. I was probably still too young to get it out, but I'm sure like an older cousin or someone had probably got it out and had a sneak.
Because I wondered why I didn't see it, but I realised I'd have only been 14 at the time in 1988. So. Which is a shame, so I saw all the other ones at the cinema.
See, if I'd have seen this one at the cinema, I would have been 2. I would have been well impressed with that.
I don't think 2 is a good enough excuse for not seeing an 18 film, to be honest. I don't know.
Take it out with my mum and dad. Otherwise we'd have missed it.
Okay, this film is a real blockbuster. It's got a great cast to it. It's got obviously Bruce Willis who's playing John McClane. It's got Alan Rickman who's playing Hans Gruber. They're two real main characters who have gone on. Mind you, is it William Atherton who plays Richard Thornberg? Played Dick in Ghostbusters, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was the one who caused all the trouble and released the ghosts.
The guy you like to hate. He's just that character, isn't he?
Yeah, and I thought his name Dick in Ghostbusters was quite appropriate. Paul Gleason as well, who played Deputy Police Chief Dwayne T. Robinson. He's been in a few things. I think he was in the Breakfast Club as well. He was the teacher who was on detention with the kids in the Breakfast Club. I
Okay.
think he was. And the rest of the cast, people, some of them are German, some of them are playing people with German accents. You've got Reginald Vell Johnson, who plays Sergeant Al Powell, who's quite an integral part of the film, and Bonnie Bedelia, who plays Holly Gennaro or Holly McClane, depending on if you watch the start of the film or the end of the film.
Depending on which one she prefers, I guess.
Yeah, and I think Carl Alexander Goodunov plays I think he's a musician or a conductor in the Burbs. I think he is. I think he's in that film. I could be wrong.
What's his name again? Sorry.
It's the guy Alexander Goodunov who plays Carl, who's the angry brother of the one who gets killed later on.
Yeah, I think he's in the Burbs.
I think he's in the Burbs as a conductor. I'm pretty sure, and he takes on. Tom Hanks thinks that his missus is seeing this conductor. I think it's him. But apart from that, I mean, there's no one else in this film who
that's not the Burbs.
Really sticks out. Isn't it the Burbs?
No, I know what film you're talking about. It's when they renovate the house. It's a really good film. The Money Pit.
Was it the Money Pit?
It's the Money Pit. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the guy with nice long.
He's a
hair.
conductor, isn't he?
He's a conductor. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all I've seen him. I've not seen anything since.
Two very good Tom Hanks films, by the way.
Exactly. And this is obviously directed by John McTiernan, and looking through his previous catalogue, John McTiernan is a man to do action films. I mean, he's got, obviously, Die Hard in 1988. Before that, he's got Predator in 1987, Last Action Hero in 1993, 13th Warrior in 1999, the remake of Rollerball in 2002. So he's got some huge films behind him, some great action films. I mean, the Rollerball one isn't as good as the original James Caan one, but it's still passable. And obviously, he produced Die Hard with a Vengeance in 1995, and Robin Hood as well in 1991. So he's got loads and loads of action films behind him. So he's a good calibre. And I just imagine everyone's seen his previous films. Everyone's seen Predator. That's a quality film. That's a really, really good film. Have you seen all of those, Graham? They're not love based, but
I know they're not all love based.
Yeah.
But
Have you seen them?
Which one?
Predator.
Yes.
Medicine Man.
No.
Last Action Hero.
Yes.
Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yes.
Thomas Crown Affair.
No.
Rollerball.
No.
I've
seen bits of Rollerball.
Yeah.
No.
If you watch the original, it's better than the other one, but the original's still a little bit crap, but never mind. So, okay, let's get on with the synopsis then. It's quite a basic one. New York cop John McClane flies to Los Angeles on a Christmas party to spend the time with his wife and family. He arrives at Nakatomi Plaza for his wife's Christmas party. International terrorists take over the building and hold everyone hostage in an attempt to steal $640 million worth of barrel bonds in the vault, which proves not an easy task. And now it's up to John McClane to face a terrorist to save his wife and all the other hostages. Will he do it? Of course he will. There was another 5 films after that, or another 4 films after that. So, but thankfully there was another 4 films. Has everyone seen all the other films?
Yes.
Have you seen them?
I think I've seen all of them. Yeah. And maybe the latest one I haven't seen. I don't know.
Which one?
A Good Day to Die Hard. Or
which one was the worst one for you out of all of those?
New ones are the worst for me.
No.
Because the last one was with his son, wasn't it? The other one, then the 4th one was.
Was there one with his daughter? Which one was that?
That was one of the computers, I think.
Yeah.
Was of his,
it was,
his
yeah.
daughter.
Where I think they drive a helicopter car at a helicopter in the 4th one.
Under that bridge, isn't it? Yeah.
To be fair, I've the Die Hard with a Vengeance or Die Hard kind of quadrilogy. Any one of those. I mean, it's we're coming up to Christmas and we're reviewing this just before Christmas. The one thing I look forward to at Christmas time is there will always be a Die Hard. There will always put one of the Die Hards on at Christmas. I don't think there's any one that I think I wouldn't want to watch or I don't like. If I had to pick one that I really did enjoy, it's the one with Samuel L. Jackson in it.
It's not Die Hard with Vengeance, isn't it?
Yeah. Is that the one with Hans Gruber's brother? He comes
Yes, Jeremy Irons plays.
Jeremy Irons, yeah.
Yeah.
Simon Says.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you say, I think now on satellite, on terrestrial telly, I think they're playing up to Die Hard 4.0. So any of those we play, but I think they're all easy watching films, and they're all good for their own kind of entertainment value. As in, you know what you're getting. It is action.
Don't have to think, do you?
Yeah, Bruce Willis is brilliant at what he does. He plays that character so well, and I don't think anyone else could play that character. I mean, before he was eventually got this was offered to Sylvester Stallone, Burt Reynolds, Harrison Ford, Mel Gibson, Richard Gere, and Don Johnson as well. Before it was given
to him.
Yeah.
That's shocking.
Yeah, I mean, you can't imagine anyone else playing this role. And the original, it was a book. I think the original was called. Well, this was a follow-on from a book called The Detective. I think, or the other way around. This film was a sequel to the book called The Detective. And Frank Sinatra played the lead role in the film The Detective, and it was part of his contract for him to be offered the part should this be made into a film. And I think it was. I mean, it's got
old.
Yeah, it's got the
far
Was
too old.
he still alive?
Yeah, and you can imagine. I mean, I think it must have been something like 68 or something like that of to play the role of John McClane, but he was first offered the part. So, they were 73. Yeah, this was based on a book by Roderick Thorpe entitled "No One or Nothing Lasts Forever." Sorry, a sequel to another book entitled "The Detective," in which 1968 was made into a film starring Frank Sinatra. And because of a clause in Sinatra's contract, he was given the rights to reprise a sequel to star in it, and he would have been 73 to play John McClane.
I would be more impressed with that. Watching him wandering around, covered in blood.
It would have been impressive.
Yeah.
Needing a wee every 10 minutes.
Going, me back.
Yeah.
Take 24.
I'm out of breath. Yeah, there wouldn't be stairs, there'd be escalators and stuff like that.
Just a stair lift, just like that.
It'd be a really slow chase, wouldn't it? Kick off. I mean, the film starts with John McClane getting on a plane to go off to Los Angeles, and I mean, I've flown quite a lot of times. I'm not a great fan of flying, not because I'm worried about it crashing. I just find it incredibly boring. When I've flown to South Africa, it's 11 hours.
That's a long time, isn't it?
It is boring, yeah. Even with all the games you can play in the films.
I
stuff
just
like
love
that,
aeroplane food. I noticed that it's the worst.
I just like air
It's the worst shit they serve up, but there's something about getting on that plane and getting that food. Like, you know, you just can't wait for the little packets of nuts to come, or the sandwiches, or the chicken wrap.
Is it because to you it appears that it's free and they're giving it to you?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But it's not really, because I've paid for it.
I know, but
it just feels like that, and you want to get your money's worth. You know? Can I have another packet of peanuts, please? Or if you're lucky enough to get upgraded.
Do you still get alcohol free on planes, or you got to pay for
it? It depends
BA.
on. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you do. You're on BA.
Okay.
Virgin, if you're on their, they've got the economy and then the upper economy, or the middle tier. And I once got upgraded because, I know it's not like me to turn up late to things, but I turned up late. It was on our way to our honeymoon, and
you were late for your own honeymoon.
Well, I was late to get to the airport, and they told us we can't get on. All the seats had been allocated.
Yeah. I
spoke to a really nice gentleman in the Virgin checkout bit, and he said, "Look, there's some seats in the upper class bit, and because it's your honeymoon, we'll put you in there." The other half wasn't really speaking to me at that point. But I said, everything happens for a reason. We got nicer seats, and instead of like Coca-Cola, we're drinking champagne, and as much as you want. And
then when did she speak to you?
Good about 5-6 hours into the flight.
Once you got
it was good. I could watch some films.
There's method in your madness. And John McClane, who's obviously Bruce Willis, sits next to a chap who's a bit strange because it reminded me of Airplane.
Yeah.
Anything on an aeroplane, I naturally, when he says, "You nervous?" I expect him to say, "First time," and he's saying, "No, I've been nervous before." It's like stupid like that. But he tells him to, once you land, take your shoes and socks off and do balls with your feet on the carpet.
Yeah.
Didn't it? Which
What's
is
that
really
with
weird. I expect him to like grab his leg or something. You're flying a fly, and if you just let someone touch your thigh whilst the plane's landing, it takes the sensation away. It was a really creepy guy. And plus the fact, he says when you get home, so you land, get your luggage, travel an hour back, and it's only then, an hour and a half later, when you're balling your feet on the ground, you go, man, this feels so much better. The flight's long gone then. Surely the sensation will be over by the time you get in a taxi back. But obviously, he says that for a reason, because it sets up the film later on. And I like the bit also when he sees his gun. It shows you how old it is that John McClane, that he can travel. Was it
on a plane with a gun?
On a plane with his gun, yeah. So that kind of dates the film a little. And his teddy bear, I could not be asked to fly and carry around a massive teddy bear. No matter how much I love the person, and my wife doesn't really listen to this podcast, so I can't say that. I would not carry around a 4-foot teddy bear. It's just so much ball ache.
Surely you could have bought one in LA.
He could have done.
Yeah, but he turned up with it. That's not the point. It's a romantic gesture.
That's the love coming out.
That's the love.
That is.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
My other half got flowers delivered to her work today.
What did you do? Yeah, but you had a row. Didn't you?
No, they were actually ordered on Monday.
Can you prove that?
Yes. For help and support over my recent week.
Okay.
They were ordered on Monday.
Fine. Okay.
To be delivered today. And they're in a little Santa sleigh and stuff. Yeah.
See, there's definitely something sinister when a man gets a woman flowers.
No, it was to say thank you for help and support.
Oh, you just raise a bar
I do.
that you just possibly can't keep unless you've got strong arms. So, but there's nothing wrong with getting your girlfriend all white flowers.
Exactly, yeah.
That. So, I haven't for a long time, but I haven't done anything wrong for a long time. So
I haven't done anything wrong.
That's fine. You don't have to feel guilty about it. I understand. Him understands, don't you, mate?
Yeah.
When's the last time you got your white flowers? Bearing in mind, today is the 4th of December, 2014, just in case it's been that long.
I'm going to be honest, it was probably Valentine's Day.
Which year?
This year.
That's not bad.
Yeah, actually, and maybe on her birthday. So,
what, did you break a window on her birthday? So yeah, you see him on the flight, he gets off, and then your next goes to the Nakatomi Plaza, which is where his wife, Holly, I can't remember her surname now, Holly, it's not Holly Jerome, is it? Oh, Graham's just showing me a picture of the flowers.
I am going to tweet it.
I think you should tweet that.
I'm going to tweet that.
Very nice flowers.
That is really, really nice. That must have crossed an arm and a leg.
Wouldn't it be Holly McClane?
It's not.
It's not.
No, it's at the end of it. It's Holly McClane.
Yeah, but no.
I haven't read it out at the start, and it's really unprofessional and shocking of me to not remember this. It sounds like Holly Jerome, but it isn't.
Gennaro,
that's it. Holly
Gennaro.
Gennaro.
Boys.
I know, it's embarrassing. I've let everyone down.
Yeah.
So it goes there, and you see they're celebrating Christmas. That's when you first meet Mr. Joe Takagi, who's the Asian boss of the company, who doesn't sound Asian at all, does he?
No.
He sounds very westernised, and especially when I had to double check.
He went to university in
But Joseph's his first name, which is strange, isn't it?
But some people change their name. I have a friend of mine who changed his name so he could sound more Jewish because he's gone towards the financial sector. And
I had a friend who changed his name to Han Solo. So he could have been Han Solo Takagi. That would have been a good twist on the film.
It would have been, yeah.
And that building, the Nakatomi Plaza, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but I did read a fact that is the 20th Century Fox building that they used. So there you go, another fact there, which is pointless, won't get you far in a job interview, maybe in a pub quiz. You're introduced to Holly Gennaro and Ellis as well. Who liked Harry Ellis?
Oh my god, what pointless character.
Didn't he remind you?
Just cannon fodder.
Yeah, he was a complete dick, and I can't remember his name now. From who's that geezer from Aliens? Who goes, "It's all over, man! It's all over." What's his? I can't remember. It's not Bill Pullman, is it, or is it
Bill Paxton?
Bill Paxton.
Paxton or Paxman?
Yeah, just that could have been him, couldn't it? It could have been his brother playing that, or actually him. It was such a slimy, whiny bastard, wasn't he? You just wanted him to die, and you couldn't wait until he died. And thankfully, later on, as we'll say, he does, which is I thought that was quite amusing. But yeah, you instantly got that slimy vibe off him that he was chatting up Holly. And whilst he's there, Holly looks at the photographs on her desk in her office, where you see a picture of John McClane and her 2 children, which again is another setup for a bit later on that comes into the film.
Sorry, mate. It was not 20. Did you say 20th Century
Was
Fox?
it 20? Yeah, or was it?
Yeah, well, it is. It is Fox.
Flocks.
Flocks.
I got it wrong. Correction, it was 20th Century Flocks. I think this goes back to
Fox Plaza. Sorry.
You sure it's not Fox? Because on Pulp Fiction, it was a. Have you rewatched that? For anyone, if you listen to episode, was it 30?
30.
We did Pulp Fiction. Uma Thurman says that she joins Fox Force 5. For some reason, not that Nim is twisted, but Nim says
he heard something else then.
He said it. Yeah, it was Fox Force 5.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, that's because you're a sick man. If anybody else, but the blokes, I think it might have been the Blokebusters. They told me that they're on Twitter that when the start of the film, when Honey Bunny's on there, there's a tape. It's a different script from what it says at the start and what it says at the end. A few words have changed. They did actually tweet me what it was, which I can't remember. I do apologise. But she just changes a couple of... Any of you pricks move. It's like any of you prices move. And they just change it, and I didn't pick that up. But they picked it up, because they are very sharp. So, but that was another pointless fact that will never get you far in life. So John McClane then meets Argyle, who's his limo driver. And this is the best limo you can get in. I mean, it's very high-tech, as he points out. It's got VHS player. It's even got a CB.
What's a CB?
Why would a limo have a CB? You know what I mean? Break one. This is CB. There's a bird in the air. But yeah,
maybe they use it on what's the Burt Reynolds Cannonball Run?
Yeah,
now that is a good film.
Smokey and the Bandit.
Smokey
as well.
and the Bandit. That's
and obviously there's Chris Christopherson's Convoy as well. Yeah. So and it's got a CD player in. That's amazing. It's actually got.
When did CDs come out? 1986. So that would have been pretty new. Really.
It was the first CD I ever bought was Assault with a Deadly Pepper. It was Salt and Pepper's album.
Salt and Pepper.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And that was the first one. Yeah. Because actually, because it was so new at that time, I actually got stopped when I left the shop for shoplifting. They thought I took something because I didn't know. I knew nothing about CDs. It was such new technology. And in those days, they actually had the CDs in the box. And there were little CDs and big ones. And I didn't know which way up you put the CD. So I was taking these CDs out, trying to look at them to see if there was like a this way up on the CD when you put it in the player. And obviously, because I was taking all these discs out, trying to find a this way up sticker on, which none of them had, because normal people obviously realised you put it in with like the shiny side down. So when I left, the guy said, he took me up into the upstairs and searched me out. I said, I haven't got anything. But what were you taking the CDs out of the CD cases? And I had to then cough to him. But I didn't know which way the CD went in the CD player. And I was looking for a this way up sticker. And then he told me. So that was the highlight of my life. For anyone who wants to know, the pictures goes on upwards.
Yeah.
So there could be others out there like me. But yeah, we meet Argyle, who's the limo driver. And then John arrives, or John's from New York, he's a New York cop. Obviously, he's gone to LA. As you discover, that Holly went to Los Angeles with a great business opportunity, which she couldn't turn down. It was a good career move, and John stayed where he was in the hope of clutching at straws that it might not work out and she'd come back to him. And his pride was dented when all his family pissed off to LA. So, and again, in this film, and like in a lot of other films, I don't know how, I've never been over or never been to Los Angeles or not long enough to kind of make an impression on me, but there's always the trope of people from Los Angeles or people from another state always appear lost when they go to another state, don't they? I don't know how true that is when people go there, but
I suppose it's just like us going to another big town in England.
But it just happens in every single film, doesn't it? But But yeah, so he stayed there. McClane gets to the plaza and he finds that Holly's changed her name to Gennaro, which obviously pisses him off. What did you think? Your impressions of the technology when he walks in there? Obviously, they've got that touchscreen computer, and everything in the 80s, any kind of computer makes a noise when you press it.
Yeah, I think probably when I first saw it,
I was well impressed.
Yeah, it was probably impressive. I mean, when you look at it now and you just think, what the hell is that?
When I first watched it, it was way ahead of its time, and it was a TV you could touch, and you can actually interact with a TV screen. But it's looking back now, it's the noises that they put in there for everything that all the computer does. It's all like when you press all the buttons and stuff like that. That would get right in my tits. You just couldn't do a nice quiet little job. In Christ's sake. Yeah, it just made me laugh. So he's told, and another thing which I thought was funny, when he says, Bruce Willis walks into the building and he says to the receptionist guy, he says, oh, I'm here for the party. And he says, yeah, just enter it on the screen. So he puts the names in, then he puts Gennaro in. And then the receptionist turns around and goes, yeah, they're on the 30th floor. They're the only people left in the building. He's like, well, why did you make me put my name in if everyone's on exactly the same floor? Yeah, I just thought, why search? But so Argyle parks in the basement, which is it's not really important, but it comes into that later on. So McClane goes out to the party and he meets Mr. Takagi. I keep thinking of Takeshi from Takeshi Castle.
That would be a very interesting film. However,
Nakatomi.
That's a corporation.
That's his I thought he named it after himself. Just chucking out random names.
I thought you were asleep and you just woke up. Nakatomi. What? It's alright, mate.
Go back to sleep then.
You're going to shout out random words. It's that kind of podcast Tourette's that you've got. Lasagna! But that's really good. I think it's really good you're trying. Yeah, so he meets Mr. Takagi. And they go into the office. And again, you see Ellis, who's sniffing coke off the desk, don't you? And Mr. Takagi doesn't really give a shit about this, does he? No one does. I think it's because Ellis is such a twat that he carries on. McClane instantly realises that Ellis is a bit of a cock, like we all do. So McClane and Holly argue again about changing her name, and her reasons being, and I've never worked for an Asian company. I've never worked for a big company, to be honest. I've always worked for little companies, and she says that it's because it's more professional to appear single. Do you think that was something just from the 80s? That times have changed now, haven't they? It's not, or is that something?
You're the person. You're one of us that has worked.
You've worked for a big company,
a large corporation.
Yeah, I mean,
you've tried to be the most professional out of all of us.
Yeah, and failed at it.
But it doesn't matter.
You still tried. Everyone else a trier.
I think it is that kind of, they probably portrayed, especially for the 80s, because it was that kind of yuppie decade, wasn't it? And I think what they've kind of portrayed there is probably very kind of true to what that kind of environment was like, I think.
Yeah. I've only worked for tiny companies where you could even wear jeans and trainers in. It's just that little respect for anyone. But
I think things have taken. I mean, like for example, again in the 90s, especially with big corporate companies, they kind of went the other way. Like if you go to like Google's head office in London or Microsoft in Reading, they don't.
Have you been there?
People, yeah, I've been there, and they don't wear suits. I mean, if Microsoft is their campus in Reading.
Yeah,
they literally just wear casual clothes, and they can work anywhere in the building. They have a golf course outside, but everything's wired up, so you could sit out on the golf course and still, because they'll walk around with tablets working.
Yeah.
Every level has Xboxes.
Why did you go there then? What, did you get lost or?
Yeah, I was asking for directions and stuff.
You're delivering a pizza.
Another story. Another story.
So, unbeknown to everyone at the Christmas party, that the terrorists arrived and they shoot the receptionist, who was a bit of a dick anyway. Yeah. And you first see Hans Gruber, and you see has everyone seen Top Gun?
Yeah.
You know the black computer geek guy, the tech guy, he's, I think, probably going to get his code name wrong. I think he's Hollywood. I'm pretty confident he's Hollywood from Top Gun. He was the only, the token in Top Gun.
Token what?
The token black guy in Top Gun. There was no one else in Top Gun whatsoever.
Do you know what, to be fair, I've watched Top Gun a few times. I don't even remember him. That's bad, isn't it?
So at the end of it, he offers up to go with Maverick. But Maverick doesn't, and I think he goes with the top man in it. No, he doesn't actually. I ain't got a bloody clue. Maverick goes in the end. It's just such an adrenaline rush. It just blanks it out of my mind. But I'm pretty confident that is him in it. I could be wrong. I don't know. Again, that's irrelevant. But then John McClane does his shoe trick, and he starts rubbing his balls on the floor, doesn't he? Which he finds very helpful. And as he does that, the terrorists rush in and they shoot everyone, or they shoot in the air and they chuck everyone into the main reception. Then, as office parties, I've never been. My offices were so small. We used to go down the pub and just go out on the lash in the evening. I've never been to an office party.
I don't think we used to have office parties in the office.
I mean, I'm talking about the sex scene where there's a traditional naked woman who's getting rogered in one of the offices. I've never been to an office party where anything like that's happened.
No, neither have I.
No.
I'm sure it goes on, but...
Have you ever...
No.
I think we're in the wrong profession.
Yeah.
Man, I've led a really dull employment life. I
Right,
really
yeah.
It's just been so... Man alive. So they round everyone off, and John McClane looks for a way to escape, and he leaves and goes up to the 32nd floor, because the terrorists on the 31st floor and the 35th floor, where they're loading rockets and bazookas and guns and stuff like that. And as he says, they've got enough rockets there for Arnold Schwarzenegger to have. The German terrorists, all of them have long hair.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, and all of them talk as if it's from a porn film. Not that I'm an expert in porn films, but some of them when they talk.
That's just what Nim was saying.
Yeah, and the German, some of it is made up. It's not actually correct.
It's not even proper German.
It's not even any language.
That's just really bad.
Yeah, so
in the 80s they could get away with that.
Yeah, so you can imagine someone going "Schnischleich, schnischleich," just for a sound that something had to be said, and it's actually incorrect. So
all right, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and also after this was released,
that must have been really offensive to Germans, I think.
But you say that, and for a reason. It's because afterwards, the Germans made a film, an equivalent of, where the terrorists were European, British, and they stormed a building which was full of Germans, and the British were the bad guys, they were the terrorists, and they were the ones who got killed. So the Germans actually...
yeah.
Yeah. I know, it's just unbelievable, isn't it? You can imagine that every nation would do that about every other film.
Yeah.
It would just be ridiculous, wouldn't it? So Bruce, Bruce McClane, I'm mixing them up now. John McClane, he actually escapes and goes up to the floor. He tries to get help. As you see, that the terrorists actually cut all the communications to the building. Another thing, this film could never be remade now, could it? To the present time, it's just one of those films that, as well as it's a classic, it could never be remade.
I think that this kind of set like the blueprint of that kind of, the storyline, that kind of lone, troubled cop, a bit of does his own thing.
Yeah.
Goes into, and then there's a terrorist. These kind of stories have been copied and emulated so many times.
But this was the blueprint of it, though, wasn't it?
That's right. And I think that's why it worked. It worked so well because it was. I think ultimately the story's quite simple. Like you say, it is just an easy watch, easy to follow. After you've seen the first one, all the other. You know he's going to survive. You know he's going to kick the baddie's ass, and there's going to be some good, few different.
But for technology reasons, they could never, because it would just be a case of terrorists getting. He could then put on Facebook or Twitter, terrorists have got here, take photographs, and it will be over. Just the way technology's moved on. Yeah. These kind of films you could never make. Present day, which is a shame, isn't it? Because unless they went overkill on the technology of blocking everything, which they could do, you'd lose some of the plot line. You just can't make so many of these films. It's like Under Siege and stuff like that, and that's another great film. But again,
you couldn't make it nowadays.
No, the way technology has moved on, you
It
couldn't
wouldn't
do
work.
that. No, and the same with many other films, but which is great because this film, standalone, is one of the best action films for me that's ever been made. I mean, there are a few other ones as well. I mean, there's about 5 which are just fantastic. I mean, I love the Terminator, which comes under sci-fi as well, but the Indiana Jones ones, I say Under Siege is a great film.
What about Commando? Did you like Commando?
Yeah, Commando. They're just no-brainer
They're just
action films, which are just entertaining if you take them for what they are. But this one,
which you don't get much of nowadays, though, do you?
Not really.
And I know what you're saying because maybe the story, like in terms of because of what period these films were made in and technology, and people would be thinking,
yeah,
that just wouldn't happen now.
No, they wouldn't really. And a lot of the action films we're getting now, which I'm really grateful for, is from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, isn't it? They seem to be the big blockbuster action films. There don't really seem to be many films out, and I suppose they are limited to what they can do to a certain extent with the technology of doing kind of heist films, or unless there's a comedy element to them, a serious film like this just couldn't be done, which I'm pleased about because I'd hate to see them remake Die Hard. It would be pointless doing a present one, and I wouldn't want to see them remake something that happened in the 80s because it would just be shit, to be honest. So he escapes. Germans, as we described, have got long hair and all like porn stars, which was a look back then, wasn't it? It was a look to have. Everyone looked like a porn star.
It was the kind of Spandau ballet. What's it called? The New Romantics.
Yeah, jeans were pulled up to your belly button.
Yeah, because they had I think a couple of them even had like their blazers, or call it blazers, but like a suit jacket, and they had the sleeves
rolled up. Yeah,
very kind of
George Michael
Don Johnson look.
Yeah, and the Miami Vice kind of look.
Exactly.
Yeah, Nash Bridges, and everyone danced with their thumbs pointing in the air, which is something that I've actually carried on doing.
Yeah, I still do that.
2014, yeah. No, yeah, exactly. We do it more. Other people will pick it up. So Gruber gets Takakis. Yeah, I'll take it. I'm saying what you're saying now. Gruber gets the car keys.
Just say whatever.
Yeah. I can't even say his name now. Takagi. Is that it? I am doubting myself now. Mr. Takagi.
But I'm still calling him
Nakatomi.
Just say it in a funny way.
Oh yeah, I'll get his. So Gruber gets his car keys and takes him to the boardroom, and he tells him that he wants to steal $640 million in negotiational. Oh man, alive! This is.
I would offer to read it for you, but my voice is about to go, so I'm not. Yeah.
He wants to nick some barrel bonds, basically, which are locked in a safe. The computer controls the vault. There's 7 code keys to actually get into it. And Takagi says, I don't know where they are. Basically, he doesn't control them. They're changed. I think it's every 12 hours they're changed, I think. And you're going to have to kill me. Which is the wrong thing to say to a terrorist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he just shoots him in the head. So then...
Which is quite graphic, really, because a lot of blood splattered.
You do see brain matter and blood.
Yeah.
And again...
Continuity-wise, if you were going to shoot someone from that close and the back of their head exploded, the bullet would also go into the glass and probably break the glass. Man of facts.
Another fact is that they pulled away from Hans Gruber, Alan Rickman, every time he fired the gun because the gun was so loud and it jolted back that he winced every time they did it. So every time he fires a gun, you don't actually see his face because he winces every time he pulls the trigger.
Alan Rickman.
Yeah. So
that's poor.
I know.
I would have expected more of Alan Rickman.
Yeah, being a Brit, I expected more. Yeah.
Well, but it's because he's not growing up with guns.
Exactly.
That's probably why.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Americans are running around going shooting everything. That's fine. He's a little bit more standoffish, and he's not a musket. He's got
more a fountain pen man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So he gets shot in the head. Mike Lowry turns up and says shit's got real, and which he done in the last 3 films that we've done, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. Something's definitely got real, and it's always been shit.
Exactly. I don't know why shit always gets real.
But I didn't notice any rings in this one though.
No, I looked. I couldn't see.
But I think it's because we probably weren't paying attention. Whereas if James was here and he wasn't in the middle of surgery, then
he would have picked it up.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see if his female mind can.
We'll ask Janine next week.
We will.
So the terrorists, you then see that they're laying C4 all over the rooftop of the building, even though it's not explained why they're doing it at that point.
Not at that point, no.
No, you just think they actually are terrorists who are going to blow up the building for their own good, really. And the computer hacker says he can break the 6th code, but the 7th code is out of his hands, as it has a electromagnetic seal. And Gruber just says, "Trust me." Again, you don't know what he's talking about. And at this time, when I watched the film, this made such an impact on me. This film did. It was such a
at the time.
At the time, and I enjoy it now so much still. Of just the simplicity of the storyline, but how effective it is.
It's well shot.
It's the perfect film.
Yeah.
It really is in so many different ways.
And there's not too much as there would be now. If they did it nowadays and stuff. And obviously we do like the 4.0, and it's a great day to die a million times harder than what it was before.
It's very simple. Isn't it?
It's at least this one. Everything is blowing stuff up, and they blow it up. CGI
and it's contained in that building, which I think is great, and it doesn't get boring. They're just switching floors all the time, or going to the lift shaft or on the roof, but they're in that building all the time, and I think it's just very
there is
simple.
a realism about it though as well, isn't there? It just it's really like kind of like the way it's shot. It's very gritty. It's not like you say, probably because they didn't have the special effects systems and stuff. So it has to be done.
And it's not real kind of green screen. A lot of it really. There's only a few bits on there that you can tell is, but you can forgive it being in 1988. And I love the way through the film when John McClane, obviously, he's isolated, he's on his own virtually all the time, but the fact that he talks to himself, I quite like that. And it reminded me of Moonlighting, because at the time, whilst shooting this, he was shooting Moonlighting at the same time, which is why a lot of the scenes are shot at night when he's involved, because during the day he'd shoot Moonlighting, and during the night he'd be doing this.
Two very different films.
Yeah, he's very, I think his name's David in Moonlighting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he plays a similar character, like quite cocky and confident, and he kind of, it's
more
carried
like
on.
kind of a rom-com type of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like Willy Won't-He kind of through Moonlighting. And in one of the scenes in Moonlighting, in the background, when they walk past the cinema, they've actually got a poster for Die Hard at the cinema. So there's another fact there, which he was starring in.
And another fact before you move on, as I just found out, this was Alan Rickman's film debut.
It was indeed.
Feature film debut, so his first one. Yeah.
Did a good job.
And then he goes on to be Professor Snape in Harry Potter, and obviously he's in Love Actually as well.
And Robin Hood. He was in Robin Hood.
He was, yeah, indeed,
And previously, he was in Dangerous Liaisons, where John McTiernan saw him in Dangerous Liaisons doing the accent. I don't know what character he was playing, but that's how he picked him out, that he'd be good for playing Hans Gruber as well. So, so lots of facts at the same time. McClane's obviously trying to make sense of what's going on. So he just needs to alert the emergency service. So he sets off the fire alarm, which is a sensible thing to do. So the fire and police are halfway there, and as per usual, there are lots of them, but then they go and cancel. And then the blonde terrorist, which is Carl's brother, arrives, and he goes, the fire's been, the fire has been cancelled, my friend, come out, no one's going to hurt you, no one's going to come out. For terrorist says that to you when he's
You
locked
just
his
sound like
machine
the
gun.
child catcher in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang there.
I know, I'm not very good at doing German accents. So, but anyway, they have a good old bundle. And then they're falling down the stairwell. John McClane breaks his neck.
That's it.
And that is it.
How's that character gone?
Yeah, he didn't have much to do, really.
No.
And he searched him, and through his clothing labels, realised that he was from Europe. Again, something you couldn't do in this day and age, and the cigarettes as well. That he's not from America.
Clothes would be everywhere,
Clothes be everywhere. You can get so many different cigarettes and tobacco in this country, and obviously the fake ID as well. So again,
That actually looks proper fake as well when you open the wallet.
Yes,
It really did look fake, but nowadays it'd be you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know. So yeah, a lot of it just wouldn't hold up in this day and time. And I love what John McClane does. Again, it's his wicked sense of humour that he sends him down in the lift, and he writes on his jumper. He says, "Now I have a machine gun." And when Hans Gruber reads it out, he goes, "I want to do another German accent. Now I have a machine gun. Ho Is that good?
No.
Okay, fair enough. I'll give up doing the German accent. Yeah, and that's when Holly realises that John McClane's alive. He's starting to piss everyone off. So, and the other blonde brother just flips out, doesn't he? He just loses his plot. And he's another one who'd be an ideal extra or even a main character in a porn film as well. So, and I don't know, maybe he's German, but Bruce Willis was born in Germany, so he's more German than any other character in this.
More
Really?
German than Alan Rickman.
Exactly, who is British. That's a great fact.
Yeah, well done, Nim. Nim is catching up. He's about 10 minutes behind.
We're doing Die Hard this week, Nim.
That's it.
So McClane goes to the roof to radio in to try and get help. And again, there's a bit of a shootout on the roof, and that's when some more blood goes on the famous white vest of Bruce Willis.
Does, yeah.
And that's when you first meet Officer Powell, who's busy buying donuts, and he doesn't really seem like the most proactive police officer to be sending along, does he? Really?
Well, he kind of fits the stereotypical
buying donuts.
Buying them, and then you could just see him sitting there during the night shift, eating them all.
Yeah.
And then drinking coffee. Really?
Was he buying Twinkies at the time?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20 of them.
Yeah, I've never had a Twinkie in my life.
I haven't either.
Have you, Nim?
No, I never had a Twinkie.
But I know
if anyone wants to send us Twinkies, let us know and we'll tell you where to send them to.
Get Twinkies in this country.
You can, but...
Can you?
Yeah.
Because that's what they wanted in... Woody Harrelson wanted in Zombieland, didn't he?
It was, yeah.
Search for Twinkie, yeah. Everybody loves Twinkies.
Yeah, I've never had one. I think they're kind of...
Is it like a wagon wheel?
I don't know, it's like...
For our Christmas Eve adventures this year, I'll bring some Twinkies. After we see if we can find
is it like
some.
sponge with cream in the middle?
Yeah,
or
I think
something?
so. Well, I'm not going to get on well with that then.
But has it got chocolate on? I don't even know what they look like, to be honest. I've never seen them in this country. But yeah, he goes to the roof. He has a shootout, and Powell arrives. And I enjoyed that shootout on the roof, even though it was quite brief. It was pretty good. And John McClane escapes again, covered in more blood. And I wouldn't want to be the one to have to wash his vest. And he makes his way down the elevator shaft. I really enjoyed the elevator shaft.
And did you know in all 5 films, there's a key scene features an elevator?
It does indeed. I had that little fact.
See, I don't have James here.
You trumped me again.
I know.
See, I'd be buggered if that was me on the rooftop.
I'd like do heights.
And I couldn't fit down that lift shaft. That would be my problem. I'd be like Homer Simpson. I'd be half in the lift and half sticking out. I'd have to call one of the terrorists to come and try and help me out, or cover myself in, like, I don't know, fat or oil. And
that's a whole different. It's a mental image for everyone there. Stu covering himself in baby oil.
In my pants, stuck in a lift shaft. Yeah, it's not going to work, is it? But yeah, and he goes in the lift shaft, and there's another quite tense moment when he's crawling through the lift shaft, and again, it's quite an iconic scene where he's lighting his fag up with a Zippo lighter and looking like a microwave meal. And I think it's Carl's going along, and he shoots up, and he's got a machine gun, and he's pushing the lift shaft to find out where the weight is, or the air duct, isn't he, to find out where the weight is. And then the police arrive, and
you know, he goes in the air ducts and in and out of.
Yeah.
There's an interesting, like on the Goofs thing, he goes in with a white t-shirt, comes out with the green t-shirt, and throughout the film, not the t-shirt, like the vests.
Yeah.
Yeah, and throughout the film, if you notice, I didn't notice it.
Is it green? I knew it was. I just thought it was dust.
But that's what some people said. They thought people just assumed that okay, well, this is going through the vent system, it's going to get dirty.
Yeah.
But actually, the colours were changing. I don't know why they.
What colours was it? What?
Of his vest.
They're saying the colour of his vest
white,
changed.
Yeah. Then it was green, and it was grey.
So I didn't
know.
Yeah. I just thought it was dirt or blood or anything like that. So good fact though, Nin.
Yeah.
Well done, mate. Doing really well now.
I just found another one.
Here we go. You go for it, my friend.
I mentioned Commando earlier on. And I don't know if it was John McTiernan that actually did Commando.
Yeah, it was, I think.
It was, right. Because he wanted to make Commando 2.
That's right.
But Schwarzenegger turned that down. And then he got offered... Well, this is saying Schwarzenegger was the first actor to get offered the role. I think they probably just did the Frank Sinatra thing as a token gesture, but they probably had Arnold Schwarzenegger lined up as a serious...
Sorry, he didn't do...
Commando.
There's me saying Commando. Let me check. I've got the credits here. I just want to make sure. Die Hard. Unless he was like an executive producer.
Yeah. According to this, he was definitely going to make Commando 2, or he was going to be lined up to do Commando 2.
Yeah, I can't see. It's definitely on there for Predator, but I can't see him on there for Commando. I'm not too sure who actually did Commando, but I can't see him on the filmography for it, even as an exec. But no, Predator. No.
But sorry, that was just the fact.
No, it's a really good fact, and I feel I ruined it with my lack of knowledge,
That's okay.
which I am sorry for. Yeah, so Power Rives. In my notes, I've got Power Rives, Pot Kettle Black. And I don't understand why I wrote that down. It must have been something in the film.
Well, I think he
there was
says
a certain irony.
Sorry, what have you written there? Pot kettles?
Pot Kettle Black.
Yeah, because I think he says that, you know, like the saying, and I don't know the bloody saying now.
I don't know.
What do you say when you say...
No, I've got Pot Kettle Black and Chocolate Kettle, because Power Rives, and he does the investigation, and he's about as good as a chocolate kettle. That's what crossed my mind, because he walks in there,
and he goes,
yeah, everything's alright here, I can't be bothered to look around.
Yeah.
And he just leaves.
If he was going to turn the next corner, the bloke standing over a gun, so he would have found out, wouldn't he?
Yeah, well, yeah, he would have probably been killed, but yeah, he wasn't very good. So
he is as much use as a chocolate fibre.
Exactly. So Bruce Willis tries to break the glass in there, and in doing so, he alerts some more terrorists, and there's a shootout. And in that clip in the boardroom, when John McClane's in there, and the guy's going under the table, which I really like that part, where it's like the zigzag table, and Bruce Willis is underneath it, the guy's shooting through it, and he says, next time you get a chance to kill me, you should take it, and Bruce Willis shoots through. And on IMDb, we've got the fact that they use extra large blanks for it, and they were so loud that damaged his ears. And it says on IMDb permanent hearing loss, but he can't be permanent hearing loss.
That would cost them an absolute arm and a leg.
Well, exactly. So it must be like a temporary hearing loss due to the loud blanks they had on there. Again, it's IMDb. What people post on the internet, how true it is, I don't know. So then he gets, and I think it's Marco, isn't it, who's a terrorist. So the biggest hint he can get that something is wrong is that he throws Marco out the window into a pal's car, which is a great shot.
It is.
From about 30 floors up or something like that you can throw a geezer out the window and hit a police car. I wouldn't want to play darts with John McClane. I think it'd be very good.
Well, it depends on the type of dart.
Yes.
If you're maybe he's good at throwing a human body onto a police vehicle, but not very good at throwing the little darts.
So if he was throwing a body at the darts board, he would be the best.
Well, it depends how far the hockey is away from it. If it's a standard 6 feet away, pretty sure anyone's going to hit it with that.
I probably wouldn't.
Maybe Nim, if he might actually wake up for that.
I've got a physique for pub games, so I'm pretty good at that. I can say that, you can't agree. So McClane radios Gruber, and he winds him up, doesn't he, with a little bit of Jimmy Bullard will say, with a little bit of banter. And it doesn't go down well, and he calls himself Roy Rogers, and that's when he comes up with a famous line that's been used in all 5 films.
It has.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. So,
apart from in 4.0, where the fucker part for the PG-13 cut is blanked out by the time of gunshot.
Oh really? Oh, that's a shame. And then you meet Richard Thornberg. I love Richard Thornberg. He's just a character you hate, isn't he? The reporter. He has a little tantrum, doesn't he, about wanting to get a van because he hears obviously what Pal's saying when the body lands on his car, and he says, "If you don't give me a van, I'll just go and steal one." And the geezer thinks, "Oh, for fuck's sake, just piss off and take one." So they go and give him a van, and he turns up, and Gruber realises now, due to him taking out terrorists, that he has the detonators. I mean, I want to know how a police officer knows how to use explosives and how to rig a bomber. I wouldn't have a bleeding clue. I could have C4 and detonators and deck cord.
They must
I wouldn't
be,
know how to use it.
Trained in that aspect. Is that
well, all it is just the C4 with a detonator in it, and then put electric charge, and then the detonator blows up C4.
Worries me, you know that.
Yeah,
it does worry me. I don't want to.
I think he's been watching Roadrunner.
Acme dynamite. Yeah,
You can sit on the rocket when you light it, can't you?
that's right. Yeah,
That's fine.
but again, the lift shaft bit where he throws the C4 down the lift shaft, that wouldn't blow up though, would it? C4 you can smack, you can shoot, you can burn, unless it's got that charge.
Yeah, because it takes the electrical. It's like a flash.
Yeah, and all he does is put some detonators in, wrap a monitor around it, and chuck it down a lift shaft.
Yeah, but it depends what he puts on it. Because he put, what was it he put on
It
there?
was a monitor and stuck those charges in.
Yeah,
the C4.
so if that monitor provides electric current to the detonators, and the detonators will detonate,
so it just needs a spark,
and then the whole thing will go bang. Yeah.
So you can shoot C4, but you can't put a spark in it for it to blow up in the detonator.
Don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy. All I know is it takes electrical charge, and that's what the detonator is. Detonators just provide electrical charge that causes the reaction to make it go pop.
I'm still not comfortable how you know that. It doesn't sit comfortable with me. So McClane and Powell start to build up a relationship which grows out through the film and the radio, which is a bit strange because Gruber will be sitting there listening to their conversation, wouldn't he? And you think they were a right couple of wet lettuces, wouldn't you? With some of the things that they were talking about.
You'd be like sitting there going, I really haven't
heart to heart and all that.
It did get quite mushy at some points during the film.
You'd be sitting there going, I don't have to worry about this geezer.
Yeah, just sitting there.
You'd have to say, where's James has gone?
Yeah. And then, thankfully, to save the day, Deputy Chief Dwayne T. Robinson arrives. Now, he is like a right tropey chief of police. I think he's really entertaining, isn't he?
I have a fact about him.
Shoot.
Now, when Robinson arrives and says that John McClane, who's could be a fucking bartender for all we know, because apparently he showed his ID or something.
He didn't see a fake ID, didn't he?
Yeah. And prior to Bruce Willis becoming an actor, he was a bartender.
Oh my lord. That's a small world, isn't it? That is a small world. That's a great fact. Thank you, Nim.
You're welcome.
So the police chief arrives and pisses on Pal Strawberries completely. But as soon as he turns out, the first thing he says is, "What do these assholes want?" Doesn't he? This is great. And again, they call in the SWAT team. As soon as they call in the SWAT team, you know that something's going to go wrong.
Yeah. Scott, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they set these massive lights out, which are facing up to the tower. And Powell's really bemused about all of this. And McClane tells them not to send the SWAT team in. And funnily enough, they all walk up and they all get shot, don't they? But not killed, just injured.
No, yeah. It's a bit like a James Bond kind of thing.
Exactly,
yeah.
Exactly. Thankfully, he must have seen the A-team and injured them, don't kill them. So they send in this massive RV kind of caravan thing. It's similar to like the thing in Aliens, isn't it, that they used?
Yeah.
And that gets hit by 2 bazookas, again, which is shot by one of the terrorists from the building. And again, this pisses
so much for the
McClane
lights.
off. Yeah.
They put the lights up to blind them, but yeah, there's a clean shot.
Yeah, and they shoot the lights. And was it Powell says they're shooting the lights, and then Deputy Dwayne T. Robinson goes, "They're shooting the lights."
Like repeats it.
Yeah, he's such a dick. So, and to basically disrupt all of this, that's when McClane drops the C4 down the lift shaft. And boom. And there is a little fact on IMDb about this. If I can remember it, they used multiple flashes to create the big flash, and then they superimposed the explosion on the building at the time. So, and it does look really, really effective.
Virtually every camera flash bulb of a particularly powerful type in Los Angeles area, and wiring them outside of the actual building to simulate the flash.
Which is great, and it is superimposed.
Superimposing.
But the explosion looks fantastic, doesn't it? It really does.
It just goes
and
to show
especially
the
for
kind
the
of
time.
Yeah, exactly. And it just shows you the kind of the way, you know, how they've actually thought about to get these effects.
Yeah.
Because nowadays it's just a couple of clicks.
Yeah, you can chuck it on there. But even now, watching it, when I watched it last night, I couldn't really see. And I've got to be honest, I didn't even see that was special effects. I thought that was just an explosion. Because again, there was no real difference to that, to The Dark Knight, to when they blew up that hospital. And they actually did obviously blow that up, didn't they? As mentioned in one of our previous episodes. So Gruber gets on the radio and announces his name. And he says he has a special friend who wants to talk to you. And because in between this, that he's realised that... another funny part before this, sorry, skipping ahead, is that Harry Ellis, then tries to go in and
yeah.
negotiate, which is brilliant. He goes, "I'm your white knight," doesn't he? And he's just the man.
You just want him to get shot.
Yeah, and that part in it is improv. When he calls Hans Gruber booby, doesn't he? That is actually made up, and the shock on Alan Rickman's face is an actual reaction to why the hell is he calling him booby or calling me booby? So that was all improv, and thankfully the only sensible thing Gruber ever does is shoot Ellis in the face, and then Gruber announces, as you say, Gruber gets on the radio and says about John McClane and everything that he's got a special friend to talk to you, and thankfully he's not talking about Holly, which you think he is, which is a little teaser for you. They are talking about Ellis, and as we say, Ellis is dead, and Deputy Dwayne Robertson blames McClane for this, doesn't he? And Powell's a man of sense and rationale, and he says no, he had no choice but to do that, and but Powell thinks he knows it all because he's got little man syndrome. The conversation between Powell and McClane gets a little bit more romantic after this, when they have a little heart-to-heart about he couldn't do anything about it. He says, "Don't worry, man, all the guys down there are rooting for you." And that was quite an emotional part, and I thought you might have enjoyed that because it involved not love, but kind of man love, bromance, as they call it. So
in the right context,
it was.
It's not really in the middle of an action film when they're getting soppy, and speaking about failed marriages and you really just crack on.
You don't say that, do you?
Crack on and get it done. You know what we were there for. So get on and do none of this soppy stuff.
Let's start shooting people and blowing
Exactly.
things up.
Love Actually's next week. Alright. This week is Die Hard. This is blow stuff up.
This is Blokes Week.
It is.
And not the Die Hard, not the Love Actually's Girls Week, because it is for both men and women can cry at that film. So
I haven't cried at it. Never cried at it.
Okay, I'm going to try and cry next week when I watch it, just so I can talk about my experiences of crying.
We can draw on emotions.
We'll watch it together.
Shall we?
Yeah, we'll spoon while we watch it. The FBI arrive, thankfully. Agent Johnson and Special Agent Johnson arrive. So everything's going to be good when you go, "Johnson there." Look at the size of that Johnson. And so they arrive, and again, they're tropes really, aren't they? They're absolutely useless. And then it's just quite a good part in the film, which was wrote in, because I actually wanted this, when Gruber's checking the devices on the roof, and he actually bumps into John McClane, and Gruber plays the victim. And this was done, a lot of it improv as well.
It was,
to try and get a reaction. Yeah. And from an earlier incident, when I think I read this on IMDb, that Alan Rickman had an accident in the stunt that he was trying to do.
Yeah, the first scene.
Yeah.
Hurt his leg.
And his leg was in a brace, and he standing on one leg throughout the whole scene. But his acting there is, he plays a really, really poor victim, doesn't he? He's really, really girly, especially when you know from previous that he can't fire a gun without wincing.
Yeah.
That when John McClane walks up to him, he's like, "Please don't hurt me, please don't hurt me."
But he says that, I think, in another one of the facts is this, you mentioned the directors saw him in one of the... What's the film?
It's Dangerous Liaison, they saw him in first.
And the accent, and what they recognise is his talent for being able to switch his accent from
American to European. And did you think that was pretty good, his accent?
I thought it was.
I think the bonus from... The only one I can pick up, which is poor, is when, due to my wife, it's a South African accent.
Yeah.
And it's a hard accent to do when English people try and do a South African accent. But I think a lot of people, when they try and do an American one, I always think it's pretty good, apart from when Jason Statham does it, which is appallingly shocking.
Yeah, he can't do it.
No, but a lot of people are really good. That guy in Walking Dead, I always think he does a really good one, but I'm always interested in what the Americans think from the area they're in when he just tries to do their local accent.
Yeah.
If they can pick it up. I mean, another one who's really good is...
Brad Pitt?
No, Idris Elba. When he did The Wire.
Okay.
The Wire is an amazing series. It's one of the best police series ever. And he plays a gangster.
Right.
And I first was introduced to Idris Elba from The Wire. And for years and years, for watching it, I think went to season 7 or something like that, I always thought he was American. It was only when he did Luther that I realised that he was English.
He's English, yeah.
He does such a good accent, and I've always loved to know what the Americans from that area think of the English, like doing the American accent, because I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
He managed to but he managed to fool some directors for a part he was auditioning for, and he managed to get 6 auditions with with an American accent before the 7th one he got found out by an Irish bloke on the staff. I think.
Oh really?
Yeah.
What, so they knew actually who he was. Then it wasn't because of the accent. They knew he was English.
No, they didn't know. No, he went there because he said trying to break America.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, you're not going to do it as an Englishman. So he put on
an
American accent and went to the audition and read the part, and then went to the next one and read the part still with an American accent. And it was only on the last one where some Irish bloke on the panel had picked up and went, hold on a minute, where are you from?
Yeah.
And then he went, East London.
He does a brilliant accent. I mean, for all the films you've watched, forget about Die Hard, you can include that if you want. Knowing where the actor's from, what's been your worst accent? For me, it's been Sean Connery in Highlander. When I think he tries to play a Portuguese person or something like that, and he's just, you can't get rid of that accent.
Statham's American. That's my idea.
That is shockingly bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
That really is bad. What about yourself?
I don't know. I wouldn't be able to think of one off the top of my head.
I mean, there are some
real
shockers.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you one that I like, and that's an American, Brad Pitt, in Snatch, doing, a British traveller.
Yes, it's very good.
And I thought for an American, because it's easy for us if someone makes a mistake when they're trying to be British, and especially if you're trying to be a traveller, but he was spot on.
He does it spot on. Christian Bale's very good. He's brilliant. Is he Welsh, Christian Bale? I know he's definitely British, isn't he? But his accent is absolutely fantastic, and I didn't realise that he was English, to be honest, until we started doing the Dark Knight trilogy podcast, and I never realised. I just thought he was American because his accent's fantastic. Anyway, tangenting off on that. So McClane finds Gruber and he believes he's a victim, and again, you're kind of bought into believing that McClane's fallen for it as well. And he goes and they have a chat about everything, and he really realises that he's a cop. And he says, "So what's your name?" And he says his name's Bill Clay. And I didn't really, because there's a notice board behind him, isn't it? And Gruber uses that name, which McClane can see, and he gives him a gun. So Gruber draws the gun and goes to shoot him. How did McClane know that he was a terrorist? So that's never...
Body language?
I don't know. It's never kind of pointed out, is it?
No.
I just wondered how he knew. See, normally in films it's kind of fed to you, isn't it? For idiots like me, when he says, "I can't believe you thought you could get away with it. I've seen X, Y, and Z." But in this, he just pulls the trigger. Obviously, it's blanks. And he says, "You didn't really think I'd give you a loaded gun, did you?" Maybe he didn't know. Maybe he just gave him an empty gun as a test to see whether he would shoot him. Maybe
I think he probably knew when he picked up a random name off the board and just said what his name was. And that's probably where he probably twigged then and went, "No."
Yeah, it's just...
You're not who you say you are, so... And then obviously that then, when he handed him the gun, that then cemented in his mind the fact that, Yeah,
because it was an empty gun. I'm surprised a terrorist couldn't point out
the different weight
of the gun, yeah. But I've just been picky, and sometimes I moan that we're fed facts, and idiots like me sometimes need facts. Yeah, exactly.
You still moan.
Yeah, exactly. Cheers, Tim. So rather than just shoot him straight away, the traditional conversation, then more terrorists arrive, and again they shoot the glass. Another fact for that he had rubber bits on the bottom of his soles, so when he ran across the glass, he didn't hurt his feet. And they were clear rubber soles that he had on the bottom. And Gruber's now happy because he's got the detonators back. So Powell radios McClane, and then they go through the... was this a trope to you, the 13-year-old kid that Powell shot scenario? Or was this not because this set the benchmark for other films? I think this film can get away with quite a lot, and other films have been tropes to this film, haven't they? I think this film was so good that that's what's happened. This was the blueprint for action and tropes.
Again, I had no kind of...
I didn't have an issue with it.
Yeah, there's no issue. I mean, like I say, it's just because it just kind of goes with the flow and you just accept it, don't you? There's nothing, there's nothing kind of negative. I wouldn't look at that and think,
No, but as I say, that a lot of other films have used this film and kind of action films, and they've made them into tropes. But this film, being the original, being the best film, I think he kind of gets away with it because it is so good. The blueprint of action films, really, I think. So the FBI orders the city engineers to cut the power, which plays into his hands because basically that's what he wants, isn't it?
And that's how he knew that when he said "trust me" on the last one, he knew exactly what they were going to do.
The FBI would go for the handbook.
Yeah, and the counter-terrorism handbook.
Yeah, and Thornberg, in the meantime, is going to Holly's house, where he threatens the maid of being deported for the fact that he can interview his kids. Some people would say that's an out-of-order thing to do. Some people would say that he's progressive in his work. Exactly. You don't get to the top by being nice all the time. So Willis goes to the roof and he finds the C4. And, excuse me. He tries to alert everyone else, and then gets caught by Kyle, the porno terrorist star. And rather than shoot, again, he has a hand-to-hand fight. And Kyle's about 6. I think all the terrorists are over 6 foot tall. And I don't know how tall Bruce Willis is, but I shouldn't imagine he's that tall. And a lot at this point in the film, a lot is happening at multiple times, or at the same time. Bruce Willis is in the middle of fighting. The FBI have now got into choppers, and they are a couple of choppers. And they're flying towards the plaza. Then it flicks to Thornberg interviewing the kids, and that's when Gruber realises that Holly's husband is Bruce Willis, because obviously he met him previously, didn't he? And he now knows those facts, which means that she comes along as quite a helpful hostage to take. There's a bit of a pawn in this battle. McClane manages. I enjoyed that fight with McClane and Carl. I thought it was pretty good, and it wasn't too long in the fact that they flicked away through multiple things happening at the same time, with Holly, with the kids, with the FBI. There was lots of things happening. So I thought that was pretty good. And all the hostages are moved up to the roof. And then McClane gets a chain round the porno terrorist's neck and hangs him, and you believe he's dead. Because surely no one can get away with that. No one can get out of it.
Exactly, yeah.
But we'll find out. And McClane gets to the roof. He's looking for Holly. The FBI thinks that McClane's a terrorist because he's shooting at around the heads of the hostages, trying to get them off the roof. Because there's just blind panic and fury between everyone, which means people lose control of all bodily functions. Probably, I don't know. You don't see that, but I should imagine that's what would happen.
Literally shit themselves.
Yes, exactly. And wee too. There you go. So McClane, this is something that I would never do either, and I really like this stunt, even watching it now. McClane's been shot at by the terrorists, by the FBI in a helicopter, because they're complete choppers themselves, aren't they? Shooting at them with sniper rifles and machine guns and everything. So he does what any other person would do, is unravels a fire hose and jumps off the roof. And it goes down about 10 floors through this fire hose, and he shoots the windows, which you just couldn't do, because those windows would be so thick, wouldn't they? It would be unbelievable. But again, it's such a good film.
But again, that's a blueprint. You've seen so many films now. You see someone like hanging out of a building, shooting at the glass, and then going through it.
Yeah, and you just go with it, don't you?
John McClane was the first to do that.
Yeah, it's Die Hard. He's a hero. So he goes through the window, and then you've got the bit where the actual wraparound. I don't know the technical name for these things.
A wraparound.
A wraparound. There you go.
Wraparound, is that the technical name?
That's the technical name.
Anyone else could suggest a better name than wraparound?
Fire hose wraparound. I don't even know the name. It's what you wrap a hose round, so it's kind of the wraparound.
If anyone wants to Google a wraparound fire hose, and let Stu know on Twitter,
it's the bit
the Film Wheel Cast.
It's the circle that you wrap the hose around. The wheel. Is it a wheel? What would you say, Nim? This is quite an important part. This could make or break this podcast.
I don't know. I'd call it a wraparound as well, maybe a wraparound.
I think I've just made up a wraparound.
All those things.
I think I've just made one up.
Hose reel?
Hose reel. There we are.
Yeah, I'm going to patent the wraparound.
Common sense approach. Hose reel.
It's a hose reel. It's a hose reel. Yeah.
Yeah, but well, the hose reel then falls off behind him, which is taken away, and obviously McClane is starting to slip out of the building. Thankfully, he undoes it. 'Cause it would have been a really shitty way to die, wouldn't it? After all the crap that he's been through.
Just to interrupt you there, Stu, for education of the listener.
A wraparound.
A wraparound is not a wraparound. It's a hose reel. It's a cylindrical spindle made of either metal, fiberglass, plastic, and is used for storing a hose.
Can you put wraparound in to see what comes up?
I'm not going to do that.
I'm going to put wraparound
I'm not going to Google wraparound.
I'd just like to know...
Is it our Wikipedia wraparound?
Yeah, just did I make it up or not? I probably did. I make a lot of things up.
I'm just looking on a random tangent here. Just looking on IMDb, it's absolutely bizarre all the different European translations for the title of the film, Die Hard.
Yeah, it's quite funny, isn't it? It just really wouldn't work, would it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just the Serbian, Croatian, Bosnian. It basically translated "die like a true man." And literally would be Die Manly, and there was a black market pirated version in 1988 in those countries, which I won't try to pronounce the language, but it said "Sell Your Skin at High Price" was the title of the film.
That was the equivalent of Die Hard.
Yeah, "Sell Your Skin at a High Price." I mean, what? It's just bizarre.
Yeah. So. Sell your skin at high price with a vengeance. It's Penny Joy and wraparound.
I've got wraparound. I feel like I'm on countdown.
What is a wraparound? Am I close with a wraparound?
No. A curving or extending round at the edges or sides.
Right.
Yeah, that's from the Oxford English Dictionary. Having an overlap with in a garment, having one part overlapping another and fastened loosely.
I suppose one way to test if it's just me is to go to a building, possibly say there is a fire, and then say the wraparound's round the corner, and to see if they run round the corner and get the hose. If they just stand there and go, I haven't got a clue what you're talking about, and then I can say off the hose reel.
You might get into trouble if you start telling people there's a fire.
Yeah, it's probably not the best thing to do, just to see if my theory works of someone knowing what a wraparound is. Never mind. So McClane, back to the film. McClane undoes the hose, and then the excuse me. So yeah, then the roof blows up. Then does it? Mm-hmm. Once he comes off, yeah. So he sets the detonators off, and basically the two FBI agents get blown up in a helicopter, and that's when Dwayne T. Robinson says, "We're going to need 2 more FBI agents." Which is again got quite a dry sense of humour. Argyle, who's got playing no part in this film, really doesn't need to be in it. He rams the computer geeky tech person.
In the ambulance.
Yeah. Then he does the weakest punch to the face, which knocks him out, doesn't it? It's just that bit was a bit wasted. I didn't need that, but again, it's a good film, so I was quite happy. So the last part is Gruber's there with his 2 idiot henchmen. McClane knocks one of them out, leaving the other one, who he's really strange looking, the one in the waistcoat. He really is. I just don't know I can't pick really what is wrong with him, but he's very, very strange man. In another podcast, they said he looks like Huey Lewis from the News. But
really?
The lead singer there, yeah. I don't think he does, but he just looks really strange. A spitting image character. So, John McClane, again, I watched this bit at the end, and I like it, but it leads with John McClane having his gun taped to his back with Christmas tape.
Yeah, well, we won't mention the Christmas tape.
Yeah, and you've got Gruber there with Holly and the other henchman who's not got a name badge on, so you know he's going to die. And again, he says, what was the last thing you said to me? Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. But he says it in a German accent, which I won't do. And they start laughing, don't they? And the laughter goes on uncomfortably long. And the gun is so low.
I wondered at which point, how did he do that by himself?
Yeah.
Because it's very interesting. Because you've got to hold it there, and then I'm doing it as we speak. It looks really funny. If this was like on telly, it'd be amusing. But I'm reaching over, or wrap around.
And I
can only just literally top touch the top of the bottom of my neck. So he's between his shoulder blades, and I couldn't.
And he tapes like a Glock on his back, which imagine is quite a heavy gun, and he's covered in blood and sweat. He tapes it on there, and it's got to be far enough down that he can reach it, the handle, but kind of high enough up so he can reach it, but low enough down so it can't be seen from behind. No, because he's got his hands on his head when he walks in, so he reach. At the moment in the room, we're all doing it.
It looks really bad,
which is ridiculous.
Just as I was stretching, like we do when we go to the gym.
Yeah, I've heard of those things. And so he reaches down for the gun. He shoots henchman with no name badge in the head. And then he shoots Gruber, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't shoot him in the head. I think he just shoots him in the shoulder. He falls back and grabs the. He gets caught on the watch from Holly, which Ellis bought her. So he comes back into it. Yeah, the Rolex. Show him the Rolex. That he's a pain in the arse. And he's hanging out the window. And again, listen to a lot of podcasts, and whether this is true or not, I don't know. But it's kind of like folklore of crap that people host on the internet. That the reason why. When he's hanging outside the building, Gruber is on the watch, and they let go of the watch and he falls. The reason why, how true this is he looks so shocked, Alan Rickman does, because when the stuntman was holding him there, it says, I'll let you go on 3. And when he counted down, he let him go on 2. And it was, again, Rickman didn't like heights. He doesn't like guns firing, and he can't do stunts of jumping over a 2-foot wall. But he's good for an action film.
It's good for dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. And he let him go. And he was so shocked whilst he fell into that really hard air mattress that would cause him an injury that his face was his proper reaction. And again, even though it's green screen, it does look really, really good.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Falling down.
Yeah,
I really enjoy
when
that.
they pan out to the view of what the police have, and you see, I don't know how they did that. Well,
that's incredible. I don't know how they did it.
But the stuntman going like that while he's falling.
And that is a long, long way to fall, isn't it? Even into one of those massive Fall Guy airbags that they do. I mean, it is really, really good stunt. But yeah, then Dwayne T. Robinson says, I hope that's not a hostage. He's just trying to cover his own arse. And I love the way he gets, when the FBI turn up, that Powell says, do you want a breath mint? Because he starts adjusting his tie and he gets all fanboy about the FBI terrorists.
It says in the IMDb thing as well that apparently they hadn't kind of firmed up the finale of the film. You know, they were still kind of, as they were...
Well, tweaking it as they went along.
Tweaking it. And a lot of the dialogue and all of that was improvised on the way, because there were just so many tweaks.
Yeah.
And that's what may have made the film
so good,
because sometimes when you...
Turns out from a shower of proverbial to
actually a brilliant film.
What is... I don't know, I can't remember in the film if they had any music Silent Night throughout the film. I know it's set during a Christmas time, but does anyone remember?
Oh, I don't know.
But Silent Night apparently was composed in Salzburg, Austria, by a chap called Franz... Did I say Salzburg?
You
Salzburg, sorry. Hans Gruber.
Oh, there you go.
Gruber.
You are the man. And he was also a baddie in Flint.
That's right.
Yeah, which I used to love watching Flint. I thought it was brilliant with James Colbert.
I never ever watched it. But
really, really good.
That was the baddie, yeah.
Yeah, it was quality. So he falls from the building, you think it's all over, and you're all relieved. McClane finds Holly, and they're young lovebirds again, and they're happy. So maybe in any relationship that's failing, to find yourself...
Act of terrorism.
An act of terrorism may bring you back together again. Not that I'd welcome any act of terrorism. So they walk out, and you think that everything's going to end really calm, but the German porno terrorist walks out with a gun. No one's got a gun. No one's going to live. It's going to end really horrible. But does it, Nim? Does it? Please tell me it doesn't. What happens?
Well...
Okay, what is this making Nim with the speed of light? My internet at home.
Yeah. Do you know what? I was just totally lost it.
Okay, then Powell, you hear some gunshots, and it isn't Bruce Willis, it isn't Argyle, it's not Holly. Who else could it be? It's Officer Powell. Shoots him, cash back. Terrorist goes down, and that's it. And then they're walking through, and Thornberg walks up and says, have you got anything to say? And Holly punches him in the face, which is brilliant, because that carries on over to Die Hard 2, where they've got an injunction against each other. due to what happened, which I really like that. And then it ends with Christmas music, and it just pulls away, and you think, man, that was a great film.
Do you not want to say what I've just been reading, which it's just really bugging me now?
Go on then.
Because
I don't want it to bug you. I don't want you to be worried.
I know where we've kind of said all these different characters or actors were turned down, but when you read more into it, I think it must be a joke. If Bruce Willis must have been the last person on the list to be offered this role, because it says things like Nick Nolte, Charles Bronson, Don Johnson.
But you've got to remember though,
all these people were offered the role before.
But Bruce Willis was only doing Moonlighting, wasn't he? Which was, even though it was detective based, there was a bit of action. It was more rom-com.
Right.
When you think you had the Death Wish films, and you had Rocky as well for Sylvester Stallone. I don't know when Miami Vice. Miami Vice was in the mid '80s, so Don Johnson would have been thought for that.
Yeah.
Was it Robert De Niro as well?
Robert De Niro.
I mean, he's a well-established actor. I mean, from Dog Days and like The Godfather and things like that.
The list just goes on. It looks like they've offered it to every single kind of.
But that's why they didn't put Bruce Willis's picture on the poster.
Yeah, it was just the Nakatomi.
Yeah, it was just the plaza. Yeah.
It says that Clint Eastwood originally owned the rights for the novel Nothing Lasts Forever, which was the film was made on, and he was gonna make it and be in it in the 80s, but for whatever reason he did.
Isn't that lucky though? Even though he was brilliant, he was really, really good as Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
He hasn't got the same sense of humour.
It's like you said right at the start. I think John McClane can only be Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
He just.
Well, Bruce Willis can only be John McClane.
Yeah, that's what I meant. But it's one of those things because again, I don't know whether it's like typecast or not. But after he made this, they made a lot more kind of Bruce Willis cop films where he plays a very similar kind of cop.
Well, Last Boy Scout, again, he plays the same kind of sarcastic police officer, doesn't he? Which is a great film. I really enjoyed that. I know you got panned
I've
quite a lot.
watched that. I can't remember it. So it's
a really good film. Yeah. Again, it's an 80s kind of quality film. I really enjoyed that. Okay, I'll go first on how I scored this film. Quite happy if everyone is happy.
Mm-hmm. Well, what would you give it, Stu? As I'm trying to talk and I can't.
My best bits, worst bits. I can't really find a worst bit in this film, which I think is crap. Argyle's pointless, but he does have a part to play. Best bits, I think there's so many good bits in this film of action. I think it's great. It's hard to find a bit that's actually defining that is better than anything else. I said the whole film is my best bit. It is great. I'll give this film, I'm happy to say I'll give this 5 out of 5. I think this is the perfect action film from 1988. I think it's a brilliant action film. I think Bruce Willis is great. Bad is, although some of the accents are dodgy and the language isn't actually German some of the time, I think it's a brilliant film. I've really, really enjoyed this film. I've seen it so many times, way into double figures, and I get enjoyment every single time.
Nim?
Well, again, I know it's going to sound like I'm saying exactly the same thing, but I can't really say there's anything in this film that I don't like. And if someone said to me, what was your best bit, I'd like the whole film as well, because again, like I said, I look forward to every Christmas to watching a Die Hard, anyone. Yeah. Especially, I mean, when you think about this one, 1988, we're coming up to nearly 30 odd years?
Yeah.
Nearly 34 years, so 25 odd years. And where are we? I mean, that film, you can watch it and it's not going to be, even though you've got the annoying computer noise and all of that sort of stuff, it's still a film. You can sit down and watch the whole film and think.
Yeah. So at that time, technology was unknown, advanced. So you could get away with it. And it was just a brilliant film. It was so good. I could go home and watch it again tonight.
Yeah.
I'd still enjoy it.
So I'd give it a 5 as well. Just purely because I'd watch it over and over again. And you know when it's a good film when you can watch it over and over again.
Exactly.
And not get pissed off with it.
Oh, here we go.
Well, as we discussed on many occasions, it is very dated because of the technology and the story, and they make a kind of big thing out of the terrorism kind of thing, and that's quite dated and what they do. I'd give it 5 out of 5. It's an amazing film.
You absolute bastard.
It's an amazing film. Yes, it is dated, but it's quality. It doesn't matter that the computer screen makes a funny noise, and it doesn't matter the fact that everything's in, BBC block bloody capitals, everything like that. It doesn't matter because that's not what the film's about. The film is about a bloke rescuing people. That's it. It doesn't matter. There's no technology involved. The only technology you see is right at the beginning, and that's it. Everything else,
and it's still blueprint of
and
anything.
no matter what, it will still stand today as one of the best action films ever, period.
Yeah.
Because, as you were saying earlier, you couldn't make something like that today. It just wouldn't work because you'd have someone going, oh yeah, we've got to make the explosion bigger. How are we going to do that? Not add more C4. No, just go to a computer. Oh, bish bash bosh.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work. And it's just the rawness of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Again, like Pulp Fiction, where we were saying about that opening scene in Pulp Fiction, and it's all done on one take.
Yeah.
That the long walk and the dialogue between Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta, it's all done on one long take. Because that's how they had to do it, and chose to do it. Because it was just, whether it was be easy or whether... It's just exactly the same for this. It's just raw and improvisation.
Yeah.
If they did it again, you couldn't get that improvisation. You wouldn't be able to get the shocked look on someone's face. You wouldn't be able to get the engagement between characters in certain bits where they just make it up as they're going along. Well, yeah, brilliant. 5 out of 5 for me. It's an amazing film.
It's interesting that the two main kind of lead characters, they are relatively kind of newcomers, aren't they?
Yeah.
But, okay, like you said, Willis.
We only done 6 films beforehand. None of them were blockbusters.
But Bruce Willis, for our podcast, has done really well. I mean, Pulp Fiction, that scored 5 for me. Then before that, we did Bruce Willis, Unbreakable.
Yeah.
I think that scored 4.5. I think that scored really high. Is that the only we've done 3 Willis films? Is that right?
I think so.
Or have we done more than that? I don't think we have.
Willis films. We've done quite a few
Samuel Jackson ones. Yeah.
And now we're going on. For some reason, this is working out really well, and we don't plan this by any stretch of imagination. We literally just pick a film for the next one, and the actors don't go into it. But we've done Samuel L. Jackson, then he's dropped off, then Bruce Willis has taken over for the link, and now Alan Rickman is in this one, and this leads me on to the next one, which is my choice. I will put it out there. It's my choice.
You're getting very defensive now.
I'm protecting myself, waiting for James or Janine or whatever he's going to be called next week. When he comes out from his snip, I'll get the mickey taken out of me, I don't mind. But my choice next week, and for next week's podcast, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen the website, is Love Actually.
And what is the website they can go to?
thefilmwellcast.co.uk. Unlike Nim, who's sitting there sniggering because he got it wrong earlier, when he was just having a look at my Christmas updates. I've added a little bit of festivity on there. So it says Merry Christmas against my better judgment, but still.
Excellent. Has anybody seen, before we go, I'm probably going to be the only one, the trailer, the teaser for Star Wars?
Not yet.
No.
Oh, man alive. Seriously, you've not seen it? You have to watch this teaser. I wasn't that excited, and I was quite sceptical about just how good it's going to be. And now I've seen this teaser.
How long is the teaser?
Maybe about a minute long, a minute 20, something like that. It is such a good teaser. It has got me sucked into it. I am really, really excited about this film. I can't wait for it to come out.
And also the sorry to just cut in there, but talking about like films and stuff, it's going to be an exciting year next year because they've released the name of the new Bond film as well.
Yeah,
haven't they?
Which is going to be brilliant. Spectre. It's going to be so good. And again, we've booked up our tickets for Comic-Con London next year. We'll be doing a podcast about it, and that will be a massive Comic-Con, I think, with the Age of Ultron coming out, Star Wars, I say James Bond, Jurassic Park, Justice League, Ant-Man as well. There's just going to be so many
most
films.
of which all mentioned, strange enough, because they're films that we're all kind of into, all mentioned on the new releases for 2015 that I put on the website.
Excellent. So any more films that are coming out, go to the website, and we'll also put some info on there about Comic-Con, should you want to go to Comic-Con as well. You can find us on Twitter. We've got our followers are rising now, and we're really grateful for everyone who follows us. We are at the Film Reel Cast on Twitter. We're on Facebook. If you download our podcast, subscribe to us on iTunes. If you could leave some feedback, that'll be really great. At least we can see if you like what we're doing, if you want us to change anything, and you can email us at thefilmreelcast@gmail.com. Thanks for all your downloads. Last month was unbelievable. We had over 30,500 downloads last month, which was a record. So I was well chuffed for that. So thank you all very much for your support. And next week we may have Janine with us, and we'll be doing Love Actually.
Graham's choice, my choice, which is Love Actually.
I like Love Actually, so I'm looking forward to watching that. And I'll get a box of tissues, and you can join us next week for episode 32. Thank you very much for me.
Good night.
Good night from me.
I thought I told all of you I want radio silence until further...
I'm very sorry, Hans. I didn't get that message.
Maybe you should have put it on the bulletin board. I figured since I
Waxed Tony and Marco and his friend here, I figured you and Carl and Franco might be a little lonely, so I wanted to give you a call.
How does he know so much about this?
This is very kind of you. I assume you are a mysterious party crasher. You are most troublesome for a security guard.
Sorry, Hans, wrong guess. Would you like to go for double jeopardy where the scores can really change? These are very bad for you.
Who are you, then?
Just a fly in the ointment, Hans. The monkey in the wrench. A pain in the ass. Whoa.
Check on all the others. Don't use the radio. See if he's lying about Marco and find out if anyone else is missing. Mr. Mystery Guest. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Unless you want to open the front door for me.
No, I'm afraid not. But you have me at a loss. You know my name, but who are you? Just another American who saw too many movies as a child. Another orphan of a bankrupt culture who thinks he's John Wayne, Rambo, Marshall Dillon.
I was always kind of partial to Roy Rogers, actually. I really like those sequin shirts.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.